Namaskar. Again, apologies for the slight delay in start. So much to do. And again, that's my fault, not yours. Viewers, a lot of stuff is happening right now in the background, but all these things didn't start yesterday, didn't start a decade. It started hundreds of years ago, and somehow things are now headed for a climax. Who is against whom? How many parties are there? Why does Europe, especially Western Europe, want to continue waging the war against Russia? What exactly do they have in mind? Who is pushing them? Who is behind Zelensky, not wanting him to sign the deal with America? And where does that deal stand today? All this and more. And what is Trump's gamble? Is he playing a high risk game, or is it a low risk game, or is it a medium risk game? And who are the people who are right now standing up to deep state? Is it Trump, Putin, and Modi? Or are there other players also? Are there players who are right-wing, who are wanting to join in? All this and more in this very quick but very crisp look at what is going on. I have a small slide deck to share with you. Please like this video, and if you have not already subscribed to our channel, kindly do subscribe to our channel. Here we go. Trump's big gamble. Tariffs are a huge gamble because they have a habit of exploding in your face, and this can actually make everyone feel poor. I'm not saying everyone poor, but everyone feel poor, at least in the short term. You're seeing a lot of the Republican senators and congressmen and women face heat when they go back to their constituency in the last week or so. Trump's popularity, again, somebody is always keenly polling how is he doing in the market, and so on and so forth. Stock market, again, low, high, it's kind of bouncing around 38, 39,000. It has come off of the 43, 44,000 highs, and Max 7 are not doing very well. All these are happening right now, right? So stock market is just one reflection. Today you saw Trump, saying that somebody fired this guy, the Fed chair, Paul. And Paul, as soon as Trump got elected, said that my position is solid. I cannot be fired by Trump. So there is already a standing up. Is Powell a face of deep state? I don't know. I don't think Powell is in that, but there could be other members in the Fed that could be part of this deep state system. Now you have to read the book Fed Up by Daniela Burke, I think. I'm not Booth. Daniela Booth. Read that book, Fed Up, F-E-D-U-P. Because she worked in Fed for some years, and she understands how these things work. Mostly theoretical economicians, talking to each other and living in that bubble. That's what is Fed. So the practicality is almost always missing there. So whatever they do, they are doing some modeling, and they think that because of that, everything is going to play out. Is it playing out? We don't know that, but certainly the signs are that inflation may be there, but inflation isn't the worst thing right now. There are other things at play. For example, we have not heard from China's strategy on how they are going to make sure fentanyl doesn't enter the United States, because that was what the war was all about. Tariff war, I mean. Because right now, China is, squarely in the crosshairs of Trump. Right now, Trump and United States is going to impose 245% tariffs. So that's a ridiculously high amount. Everybody understands it. So why did it jump 100 points further? And Vietnam was one of the first countries that wanted to negotiate tariffs, and she goes there, and I don't know why Trump has said the latest 100% tariff jump. My guess is that he is trying to force China to come to the negotiating table. I'm also hearing the person who was supposed to be handling negotiations from China has been fired by Xi Jinping. So there is some amount of scrambling going on the other side also. They probably are trying to look for who can, in their opinion, serve their interests best. So we don't know what is happening in China. China is a closed society. We will not be able to figure out what's going on there up until some more time. So let's let it rest for a minute. So 245% tariffs, and who is it really after? Is it after China, or is it after the deep state? What exactly is the deep state's role in all this? I put a monologue out on who controls the world. You might have seen it, but let's take a look at what is happening, because we know, like Soros wanted this new world order. It wasn't just Soros. It was a bunch of these people whom we call as Queen Council or Club of Rome or City of London, bunch of people who are rich for many centuries now, and they have a certain thing in mind. They don't want any borders. They want everything to run as per their diktat, and when things don't go their way, then they are willing to change the rules. For example, Macron. In France, Le Pen was the one who got the popular vote, but in the second round, they somehow squeezed things around in such a way that it was the left and the center that won. And Marine Le Pen is shocked because it was supposed to be a multi-cornered contest, and inexplicably, one of the weaker of the two in the left/central parties dropped out at the last minute, making it easy for the other person to win. And that's how they defeated Marine Le Pen. And now, just for good measure, she has been, looks like she has been under house arrest. She has been banned from standing for elections, all because she is saying that I'm going to throw out all the illegals. I mean, illegal throwing is not easy. Only United States has done some amount of illegal throwing. We are talking less than still 100,000. It's around 91,000 now. And there's a long way to go, miles to go before we sleep, as Robert Frost would have written. So what is really going on? There is a quiet but significant realignment happening in the global power players. Key leaders, Donald Trump, Narendra Modi, and Vladimir Putin, are engaging selectively with deep state, not all head on. Okay. And this is not out of subservience, but strategic necessity. Why is it selectively? I'll come to that in just a moment. But see, understand this. They are not on, everybody who they identify as deep state, they're not taking everyone on. They are only taking a few things. On the other ones, they are willing to work with them to let things move on, because they also have a lot of power in the current world order. That is the deep state, some groups in that. Which groups? I'll come to that in just a moment. So here what we are seeing is an ideological realignment, and it is towards a real politic framework rooted in national interest first. So Westphalian consensus that had been there for many years now, that is about to collapse. That's why they want to say no borders. New world order is they can put anyone anywhere. By the way, one of the things that you can pick up who could be a deep state, who could be, not who is, okay? Who could be a deep state candidate is look for candidates, political candidates running for high office who are good looking, not so bright. Good looking, not so bright. Okay? Who comes to your mind? Emmanuel Macron, Kamala Harris, and many European leaders who are in their mid-40s, mid-50s, who appear to be, this is the framework, because they don't want that person to be too bright. If the person is too bright, then he starts thinking, or he or she starts thinking on their own. Then that becomes a problem. And in Germany, the current coalition, spring season, allergies. In Germany, AfD is at 25%. As a single party, it has polled the most amount of vote. And the other two are trying to keep it out of power. But the people don't like it. So does that mean that Germany will go to elections again? But what is going to prevent them from doing the same thing to AfD that they did to Marine Le Pen? See, AfD is also seen as a right wing. See, these things, I always say left. If you want to call yourself left, fine. Anybody who's not left is non-left. They are anything else. You have no right to tell them, I am left, therefore you must be right. No, you can be whatever you want. Left has a certain connotation. It is associated with communism, and the others may not be communist. But that doesn't mean that they are right, because right means immediately you're going to try, oh, this is extreme right, this is far right, this is that right, radical right, all sorts of stuff, nationalists. Then immediately start connecting a nationalist is a fascist, is a Hitler, blah, blah, blah. This is where they want to take this narrative. So don't get into it. I am non-left. That's it. Okay, you can do whatever you want. You don't define me. I define myself, and I am non-left. That's how the parties, those who don't lean towards the left ideology should identify themselves, and don't go into this discussion where they try to somehow label you with something and then try to say, oh, you are this, therefore you are going to do this. That extrapolation that they always want to do. I'm telling you, all these countries, especially in the Western Europe, who have turned socialist in the last 30-40 years, they have really ruined themselves. They have wrecked their economies. They don't have any army worth. By the way, Poland might have more army, more members in the army than Germany, France, and England combined. I'm talking about United Kingdom, of course. That's how bad this is. And these people go and want to wage a war in Ukraine. Who are they sending there? Some people who have gone have already come back with body bags. They have identified, the Russians have identified them, and they are going to town on that. Of course, Ukrainians also have caught some Chinese and North Koreans. These people also are saying, okay, you are not alone. You are also taking help from everybody. By the way, another interesting thing I'm hearing, Pakistan is talking about sending 100,000 of its soldiers to, of all places, Belarus. Belarusia, that is the one that is the vassal state of Russia. Belarus, which is just between Russia and Ukraine on the northern border of Ukraine. So Pakistan will supply arms and ammunition to Ukraine. Then they'll go and fight alongside the Russians with Ukraine. Is that what is planned? That's what I'm hearing. I mean, we'll come to know more about. Pakistan is getting really desperate. They don't have money. They will find any avenue to make money. After all, these deals are done in smoky club rooms in London, and it's all generals and 1 or 2 levels below that. These guys are the ones taking all the money and then throwing all the soldiers to the wolves. We'll have to wait and see whether the army reneges at that point of time, because already army is incensed. At least 1/3 of the army is believed to be Pashtun, and they are incensed at the treatment meted out to Faiz Hamid. So this is the state of Pakistani army. I just thought I should let you know. So this real politic framework is being shaken up. Same thing with Mark Kramer. Who is that guy? Suddenly just gets helicoptered into the Canadian politics. Now, let's take a look at what is happening with Trump, because this is a slightly different outlook at what is happening. Modi has been playing, sort of middle. He said there is no, this is not a time for war. Yet he goes and says it in Putin's presence, and Putin hears it this in one ear and goes out the other way. Putin is aggressively trying to capture all land up to the Dnipro River. I've been telling this. I had a monologue also on that. So you know where Putin stands. He knows the ceasefire is coming. But before that, he wants to capture as much as he wants. Then he wants to use that population to grow Russian population, because Russia is not growing fast enough population-wise. I believe he has given a lot of incentives to Russians to have more children, but that's going to take 15-20 years before it bears fruit. Today, Russia is not doing too badly, even with sanctions, because they have a lot of natural resources. Okay, so Putin, we have kind of defined. And Modi, like I told you, they are engaging with deep state. For example, a member of the Rothschild family came and met with the Indian Commerce Minister. What was that about? I'm sure it was like, okay, you will do this, but you will not do this. And India might have said, okay, you don't do this. These are all the red lines. You don't cross them. Then we can make some deal. All I'm saying is some portions, especially some financial entities from the deep state, are perhaps wanting to break away from the rest of the deep state, who's more after power and other things, to try and say, okay, I'm going to work with these countries because otherwise I'm completely doomed. So there is a bit of a split in deep state also. Well, could Trump drive a wedge between those two to try and make that collapse go even faster? We'll wait and see. So what exactly is Trump doing? Trump is doing a lot of things that Biden era did not. For example, he is completely going onto a transactional basis. What is mutually rewarding? Something which is a win-win situation for every country that he's dealing with. So it's all bilateral. It's no longer global. It's bilateral, this country to that country, and so on and so forth. And also, emphasis is placed on sovereign control, even when accessing international capital and technology. You have to read a bunch of links and also watch videos. I'm going to provide all that right after the show is over. Do look in the description section under links to understand a little bit more depth of what we are presenting here. Now, the main thing here is emphasis is placed on sovereign control, meaning like the country concept comes back again. That's a complete 180-degree opposite phase from the deep state, which is right now in control. You know how they basically threw away the Romanian politician who actually won the election because it's not their candidate. That's how much power they have. And they have been ruining Ukraine for a long time, with connivance of United States. Of course, when the Republicans are in power, they don't play by the rules. Although I must say that in his first term, Trump did get blindsided by many people who ended up showing up as entities of the deep state. I don't have to tell you, these are all the people that he said right out at the beginning, I'm not going to be part of, these members are not going to be part of my administration. Very, very flat out. And he made sure that his critical group was picked before he came to Washington, D.C., before he even got sworn in. So he learned his lesson from the first term. This time he said, this is going to be my team and I decide what I want to do. And lucky for him, except for one, he got all his nominees in. So he has been successful that way. He is actually outplaying the deep state, which might have, oodles of wisdom. They've been around for a long time. They have looked back and forth. They have taken on many dictators, many, politicians and so on and so forth. But somehow this time around, they are finding the going very, very tough. What are the triad? Trump, Putin and Modi doing? They are utilizing financial globalization without ideological entrapment. What is ideological entrapment? The same thing that I told you. Soros wants all these left loonies to be the attorneys general, I should say. That is why you saw the Letitia Williams and a bunch of other people who don't deserve to, they may not even go beyond a public defender, but they all ended up being attorney generals because there was a silent push from the deep state. In fact, it's going to be interesting as to who is going to enter the gubernatorial race in California, because the current governor, Gavin Newsom, is terming out, and it is believed that Kamala Harris might throw her hat. This is exactly what Nixon did, and Nixon lost. He lost the presidency, then he went back and ran for governor, and he lost that one too. So the history could repeat itself, because Kamala Harris will be going up against a lieutenant governor of California, who's a hand-picked successor by George Soros. I've alerted this to you a long time ago. Things are going to go worse in California. They essentially don't care a shit about what is going on with the industry here. They just want, I want more and more and more benefits. In fact, they are 40 billion in red. There's no way they can recollect that. I just keep getting letters. Your water bill is going up. Your sewer bill is going up. Electricity is already gone up. Insurance is already gone up. I mean, beyond a point, people cannot take this pain anymore. And the average salaries of some of the city officials, they'll put the programmer salaries to shame. These fat cats are getting a lot of money. I don't know how they approved their raises. That's another thing that needs to be investigated. I'm not talking about bribes. I'm talking about actual take-home salary packages. Huge, huge salaries these days. Anyway, so the ideological entrapment, if they don't fall into it, that means that Modi might say, okay, I will let you invest in these sectors in India, but you keep your nose out of the Manipur problem or any border problem. You don't put your nose in through states like Tamil Nadu and Kerala, where there is left also in there. There's also liberal ideology. There's also church. All these are all going back to deep state. Everything is, you can connect it back to that original thing, because the Church of Vatican is also part of deep state. I mean, do you know that the Catholic church in India doesn't get to choose who leads the Catholic Church in India? It has to be appointed from Vatican. Why? Why are you still enslaved to Vatican? I mean, people have not asked them this logical question. Why is the Roman Catholic still enslaved to Vatican? Why don't you choose your own? Don't you have more people? In fact, I would say numerically, the number of Christians here, number of pastors here is probably more than any other country. Can't you decide who should be your boss? Can't you have your own elections? I'm not saying anybody else should interfere, but why are you not regulating yourself? You are a bloody rich organization with money coming out of your ears. Why can't you manage yourself? Why do you need to listen to Vatican? Because I hold the Marxists accountable for the same reason, that they have their boss being selected by China, by Beijing. Anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is this ideological entrapment is not being favored. They just want transactional stuff. Okay, you want to invest in this sector, fine, go ahead and do that. We will let you do it. Now, there's also the recognition by these three that there is a liquidity power of deep state, especially aligning with the investment firms. The investment firms are the ones who are sitting on trillions of dollars. Did I tell you that about $3 trillion of money is sitting waiting to invest in AI technologies? If somebody has a bright idea, you might be able to get funded easily today. And now don't ask me why am I not doing it. I'm not at a startup age now anymore, guys. I've had my fair share of run of startups. I'm done with that. I'm happy doing what I'm doing now, and that is my startup for me. PGurus is my latest startup, and I haven't done too badly. When I retire, they'll probably retire us with PGurus, and who knows? I mean, what I'm trying to say is that I'm just saying today, the entrepreneurs are, when you turn 30 to 35, around that age, you would have had about 5 to 6 years of experience in the industry. You kind of know how industry is moving. Then you say, okay, I'm done. I would like to do something on my own. I'm tired of working for this boss or that boss or this organization or that organization. I'd like to go out and try on my own. And that's when the startup idea clicks. 4 of you get together and brainstorm ideas, and something clicks, and then you say, okay, this is worth getting behind, and you are still holding on to your daytime job, and you create a PowerPoint presentation, pitch it in front of VC friends, and from there, once there is traction, then things take a life on their own. This is very common. 1 in 3 startups in Silicon Valley are run by Indian Americans. This is a very common formula. This is what happens. So that's the opportunity today. Still, AI has a lot of promise, even with the DeepSeek, because people are also finding out DeepSeek is limited. In fact, Grok is appearing to be getting ahead of even ChatGPT. We do use AI in some of our products, and you know that. I mean, we have done some videos where we are still continuing to improve the quality of these videos. So stay tuned, because we want to try and be ahead of the game in terms of what we provide as content. Okay, so which are the institutions that would be needing money from deep state? For example, infrastructure funding or defense technology upgrades or resource acquisitions. For these things, the deep state money would come in very handy. The cooperation remains financial, not political. That's why I said transactional. Okay, you are like a pure business entity. You come in and you do this. You have no say in who runs this thing. You have no say in ideology. You're not going to tell me, if you want my money, then you will have to allow this person to be in this post, this person to be in this post. Nothing of that nature. You are doing it as a purely transactional person. You're coming in, you're looking at a new opportunity, and just invest and be happy when you make some money. This appears to be the roadmap here. Now, this is a calculated approach to tap into global funding. Like I said, there's a lot of money that is just hanging around loose. And Europe is desperately trying to bring in digital currency, because they want to be able to control how that money gets used, and also be able to track funding in some ways. Like, for example, the digital currency will also help you check money laundering. That's one of the good things. The bad things about it is it could force you out of some places, saying that we are going to give you your salary, but you can only spend it on this, and not on this. That freedom of what you want to do with your salary might be taken away. That is the downside of a digital currency. And once something like that happens, that's bad news. So we all know why the deep state wants to continue the war, and it's mainly because it's on the hook for a lot of the money that's owed from a long time ago. From the reconstruction of post-Second World War, when the countries of Western European countries, they all were spending money. All they wanted to do was they wanted to show that they were, their currency, because euro came in a lot later. Before that, their own currency, the Deutschmark, franc, the pound and so on and so forth. They all wanted to show that they were growing faster, they were appreciating better than the United States dollar, which had become the reference, and they did not see how much debt they had run up. As a matter of fact, it is believed that when countries were asked to sign on for a single currency, which is the euro, EURO, that at that time the Chancellor of Germany, Helmut Kohl, didn't even get its cabinet's approval. He just signed it as an executive order because it is believed that the German cabinet would not have approved. Because even today, Germany is still the strongest economy in the Western Europe. And if Germany walks out of euro, then it's game over. France may just, thump its chest and say, oh, no, we are still here, we'll take care of it. But right now, euro is the one that is under the most amount of pressure, and they have no clue how deep the debts are in many of these countries. You saw the crisis that Italy went through, that Greece went through 10, 15 years ago. Nothing has been addressed. They just kick the can down the road. That's it. And this is all the things that surface. We don't know what other debts are there, especially in France and many Western European countries, including England. Somehow, USAID money, the NAD money from US, all these things were, what money was flowing like water through Europe during Biden administration. So people didn't see it. And now all these things are block. Everything has been cut off. Now you are seeing them screaming. And also divisions are beginning to emerge. China is now, yelling and screaming at UK, and UK doesn't know what to do. They were one of the chest thumpers saying that we are going to send 30,000 troops to Ukraine to fight. Not one has gone yet, but they've been talking about it. And the total strength is 70,000. Will they send half of their army? I don't think so. It's just verbal diarrhea from Keir Starmer. And he's busy implementing a two-tier law system, hence getting the name two-tier Keir. Now, what is Trump planning to do? Trump is supposedly or allegedly working on a measured way to devalue the dollar, and also to try and peg it away from being a fiat currency, but peg it to gold. And this is something that is still in discussion, because I think recently they found out that in Fort Knox, out of the 8,134 metric tons, 400 tons is not accounted for. Look, this is still at the scratch level. They'll have to really go and find out. I think Trump will not put the dollar on the gold standard for another year or so. Right now, the bigger thing is to try and make Doge starting to make inroads, get that debt under control, because there's a $9 trillion debt that is going to roll over, and for that he needs the interest rates to come down, because the rollover loan can be at the lower interest rate, and for that Powell is not yielding. And this is where the tussle comes in, where Trump said today, I want him to go, I want someone who can lower the interest rate. So that's going to happen. I think even with Powell, it might end up happening. They are expecting 4 interest rate cuts this year. This is what my conversation with Sree Iyer App IOS said. So we have that going on. Now, if the dollar decreases in value and it also pegs its value against gold, then it might become a more viable alternative versus the BRICS currency that China is planning. It's mainly China that's planning. Russia was just looking there, and India definitely said that we are not part of that currency. So this is where things stand. Short-term economic pain for long-term global leverage. That's what Trump wants to do. He wants to get US back at the helm of affairs as the reference currency. A lot of things are going on here, and there is risk of inflation because of tariffs. He has to fight that. He's hoping that tariffs will force all these countries to be more competitive, so that the sticker price at the counter is not going to be the same thing as like the percentage of tariff being levied. China is an exception. I think they will start negotiating. I've already heard that they are coming to the negotiating table. So something will work out, and that's where the resolution on fentanyl is going to take place, because that is one of the most important things. China wants to wipe out the next generation of youth from United States. That is the plan, without firing a shot. So this is where we stand. I'm going to try and see if I have any we have any questions. that we can take here. Like I said, this is a new sovereign global model, and Putin, Modi, and Trump are seen as engaging selectively with financial elites, resisting political capture, and building alternative institutions. And this is something that, again, it will take some time. It's not going to be easy, and it's a bold strategy, and it's high risk. But if Trump even pulls off half of it, it could redefine America's global financial positioning, undermine entrenched fiat control structures, and empower a new multipolar, pragmatic world order. What is the success going to depend on? It depends on managing inflation domestically, avoiding internal sabotage from embedded interests. Did you know that one senator, a Democratic senator, wanted to fly down to El Salvador to meet with this one guy who was supposed to be MS-13, that El Salvador was refusing to deport? They were trying to make a big issue out of it, that this guy is not an MS-3 member, but he is a family man, that Trump administration made a huge mistake. Today, if you read 80 to 90% of the media, even social media, a lot of untruths are being published, viewers. So the Trump administration is fighting back. Listen to the same voices of Scott Bessent or Lutnick, or even many other people. People are also coming on to give interviews. These are longish interviews where they lay out the plan. What is the vision? What does Trump want to do? Like, for example, Lutnick in one of his recent interviews said that if Trump can figure out all the savings from Doge and bring the Social Security expenses under control, that he might be able to have no income tax, zero personal income tax for all those people making less than $150,000 a year in the United States. If that happens, that could be a huge boon. It could be a huge boon. And also, I'm hearing that about 1 million people want to make use of the $5 million entry, the what called gold card, I think, gold card, and that directly goes into 5 trillion. If that materializes, if all of them come, that's 5 trillion. $5 trillion from the $36 trillion deficit is a big number. That's a big number. And these are people who are probably, sitting in UK and Western Europe, a little bit nervous about how things are going. And see, what we know, we are doing it based on what we are hearing from various sources and doing our own homework and getting references and things like that. Those of the rich in Western Europe who deal with these numbers day in and day out, they know what is going on. For example, there is a flight of gold from London and Switzerland into New York. Why? Because they think that war is in the air. This is exactly what happened when the Second World War started. All the gold ended up being in New York. So a lot of interesting things going on. Internal sabotage is something that Trump needs to watch out for, and I think he is doing a good job of that, and we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Thanks for watching. This was a longish monologue here. I'm just going to line up all the questions now. Just give me a minute. So Piyush Goyal met Rothschild. He himself tweeted the photo of the meeting, then deleted that. That's because, people could be saying, aha, here he goes. He's a deep state guy. I mean, Congress didn't say anything. They were too busy fighting among themselves, I guess, so they didn't see it. But that's why I think they just deleted it. It's okay. You have to keep talking. Thank you so much, Harsha Rao. Sree, what is your advice for... There's a half question from Harsha Rao. Can you finish it? Okay. You got a full question here. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm just looking up all the things. Ask for these 3. All right. Here I have lined up all the questions, and I'm not going to take any more questions. Let me go through the questions here. Pawan Kishore wants to know, is deep state always left on political spectrum? No, deep state is for deep state, and they do different things in different places. It's just look, these are people who have had money. They've grown up in riches, and I'm told Princess Anne, and I don't know which princess. See, Elizabeth's sister is also Anne, and Charles's sister also is Anne. I don't know which one of those two. That's one of the persons who sits in this big crown council deciding the fate of where the investment should go, and so on and so forth. Watch The Crown. It's a very interesting series. Why I want you to watch it is because Netflix has done a lot of research to make sure that what is portrayed in the crown is authentic, including one royal king who went and met with Hitler and even took a military guard. Can you believe that? March past. So just watch the crown. It's just amazing stuff that comes across there. So you will know a lot of things, because they come up to, I think, 10 years ago or something like that. But at least you know how these things evolved over a period of time. Harsha Rao, Sree, what can be done about Supreme Court diluting Waqf Act? Should Modi ji have passed Waqf Act when they had 2/3 majority in the parliament? Thanks for taking the question. Harsha, see, it's now spilt milk. What has happened has happened. They are going to go through this Waqf thing. If no non-Muslim is allowed, they can always apply this and throw out some other elements in Hindu institutions where the non-Hindus are being allowed. So it's okay. I would take something, and because this time, surprisingly, the day after the bill passed, action started happening in states. That's what really has got their goat. They thought, oh no, the rules will be framed another 4 years, like the way it happened in CAA. Here it has happened within 24 hours. Everything started cracking down. That's why they are shit scared. Sorry for using French. Harsha Rao again, what is your advice for NRIs with green card facing increased scrutiny at ports and airports? They travel safe nowadays. I think the scrutiny is only if you happen to stay for around 6-month interval. If you are going for longish periods of time to India, you may want to think about that and go less. I mean, I'll tell you another thing. Before I got my OCI card, I used to travel 2 or 3 times to India on visitor's visa. And there are 2 types of visitors visas. One, you apply for a visitor's visa, like 5-year multi entry, and the other one was e-visa, where you get the approval online, and then you print it out, and you go to a special window where you are given visa stamped, your visa stamped in passport. So one time they rejected that for me. I said, what going on? Then the person that I knew in the consulate explained, look, if you do it within a short amount of time, India will not take it. You'll have to go through the normal process. So I went through the normal process. I got a multi-year visa. Then what I did was, while that was still going on, I applied for and got an OCI. Now I have no control, no restrictions. I can go any number of times to India, stay for any amount of time, no such restrictions. I can do many things that an Indian citizen can do, barring a few. So like that, if you are going to be a green card holder, make sure that you spend 5 years, become a US citizen. Because once you become a US citizen and then you return to India, you will get your pension there, you will get everything that you can enjoy here, there, and you can also come back and forth any number of times, no questions asked. Citizens are not subjected to the 6-month limit that I told you for the green card holders. I hope that this advice helps you. Aditya Raghunathan wants to know, 𝗟𝗏𝗏 𝗔𝗏, thank you. Please do a show with Dr. Swami on Indian politics. I will try. VS asked for these 3. Is the deep state or jihad a bigger threat, or are they too enmeshed? No, I think deep state is using these people as a means to control government and people. I think they are very sure that once they have full control, they'll turn on these people and finish them off. I'm telling you, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind. Deep state is for deep state. And that's the reason why they think that they can bring in as many number of people as they want, because they know they have an exit route for them. Sorry to be so brutally frank, and that's what I think. And I could be wrong, but I don't think so. The way they treat people have become sheep for them. That's how it is. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.